Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte. Guys, we're taking a look today at the value of cap space. What is the value of cap space here today in the flat cap era of the NHL? Obviously, everything that has happened over the past 2 years with the pandemic, money has definitely changed the way that not only in the NHL but the entire world, especially in the sports world here with the NHL in particular, it's changed the value of money and cap space that you have available. And we're going to be going over how the Arizona Coyotes may be the innovators of the flat cap era in this video. So let's get right into it. So there's a reason I have in the thumbnail, I have the Seattle Kraken and the Arizona Coyotes. There's a reason I have those two teams in that thumbnail, because I think they're utilizing the new way we're going to see the NHL and teams managing those teams, the new approach. And we're going to be going over what is cap space. So cap space comes down to this. Basically, the NHL has a salary cap, which you have to lie in between a certain amount of money spent on your team. So the lowest amount that you could spend on your team per season is $60.2 million. That's the salary cap floor. That's the least amount of money that you can have on your roster, because you have to put together an NHL team of some sort. And then the upper limit of that salary cap is $81.5 million. Now, if you look at teams specifically like the Tampa Bay Lightning that may have used certain things in the playoffs to their advantage, there's obviously different rules, which I could get into maybe in another video. But the amount of cap space you have has to lie between $60.2 million and $81.5 million. Nothing less than 60.2, nothing more than 81.5. Again, there's obviously exceptions to that, but we're keeping it pretty simple here, okay? So the goal is, you want to, if you're a playoff team, a contender, maybe trying to win the Stanley Cup, you want to be as close to that 81.5 as possible without being over. And there's a chance that if you're a rebuilding team, the Arizona Coyotes, maybe you decide to go at the lowest end of that and leverage teams that have no cap space looking to gain more, maybe taking on bad contracts in order to acquire assets. And the reason we're going to get into that, we're going to take a look at the Arizona Coyotes in particular. Now, the Seattle Kraken is pretty simple. The Seattle Kraken, in the expansion draft, a lot of people were surprised that they didn't take maybe some guys around the league like Vladimir Tarasenko, Jakub Voracek, or James Van Riemsdyk in Philly. Who were some other examples? Ben Bishop in Dallas. Carey Price, potentially, some would argue, the best goaltender in the NHL. But again, the cap hit of that player dictates the value of that guy. So the Seattle Kraken decided to go with guys like Carson Twarynski and Gavin Bayreuther instead of going for the bigger contracts like James Van Riemsdyk, Max Domi, and Jakub Voracek. So what does it have to do with the Arizona Coyotes? Well, the Coyotes decided to make some interesting moves. And the first one being, which doesn't have to do with salary, but they traded Adin Hill's rights to the San Jose Sharks for a second-round pick. So they acquired a second-round pick for next year's draft from San Jose. And then we start to see them make some cap trades. The first one being with the New York Islanders. So they give nothing to the New York Islanders, okay? In exchange, the Islanders give up Andrew Ladd and his contract. They give up a 2021 second-round pick, which they selected Giannis Moser in the second round, 60th overall. A 2022 conditional second-round pick from the Islanders. Now, the condition on that is the Islanders have the Colorado Avalanche's second-round pick and their own. So whichever one is the higher draft pick at next year's draft, the Islanders will be giving that one to the Coyotes. And then there's a conditional third-round pick for the 2023 NHL draft, and the condition is the pick is not transferred to the Coyotes if Ladd plays in any professional games in 2022 or 2023, or he retires prior to the conclusion of the 2022-2023 regular season, which would alleviate more cap space. So I think there's something to be said about that. I really think this is an interesting move, for sure. And it's one of those things where you're creating cap space. So you could potentially get 2 second-round picks and a third-round pick for taking $5 million off the Islanders' cap. Now, here's the thing. There's a difference between actual money spent and the salary cap. The salary cap is the money that is projected to go to that player over years. The actual money has already been paid to Andrew Ladd. A lot of that money he got up front in a signing bonus from the New York Islanders when Garth Snow was the general manager. So the Coyotes aren't actually paying him the actual money spent. It is more about just alleviating the Islanders of that salary cap ceiling. And I that may be difficult to understand, but you're looking at it in terms of they're saving money to acquire more players. But again, the Islanders are still spending that money on Andrew Ladd. The Coyotes are just taking the shell of the contract. Okay? There we go. Now that continues here with Shane Gostisbehere, as the Philadelphia Flyers send Shane Gostisbehere, a 2022 second-round pick from Philly, and a 2022 seventh-round pick from the St. Louis Blues. So they pick up, again, for picking up Shane Gostisbehere and Andrew Ladd's contracts, hypothetically, the Arizona Coyotes get 3 second-round picks, a third-round pick, and a seventh-round pick. So that means they pick up 5 draft picks just for taking on 2 dead contracts. I know, pretty insane, right? That's actually really good. They also make a move here, and I wanted to save this one for last because I think Jim Benning is putting himself into a rabbit hole here, and I'll explain that. So, the Vancouver Canucks acquire Oliver Ekman-Larsson and his $7.26 million salary cap hit per season, and the rights to Connor Garland from the Arizona Coyotes, which he is probably going to command between 4.5 and potentially upwards of potentially $6 million per season on his next contract. So that's $13.25 million on their next deal. What do the Coyotes get? Well, they take on dead cap again. They take on Antoine Roussell's final year of his $3 million contract. Jay Beagle, his final year of his $3 million. Louis Eriksson's final year of his $6 million. So between those 3 guys, that's $12 million of cap space. That's not actual money spent. Again, I keep bringing that up. They're not actually paying those guys $12 million. Most of that money has already been paid in signing bonuses from the Vancouver Canucks. So, again, the Coyotes are just taking the cap space. And what else do they get? Well, they pick up a 2023 7th-round pick. Again, that's 2 7th-round picks now. Another 2nd-round pick in 2022 from Vancouver. And now we're also taking a look at the 2021 1st-round pick, which they were hoping would be Kent Johnson, but they still get a very talented forward and right winger from the Edmonton Oil Kings, Dylan Guenther. So, for taking on bad contracts that are all going to be off the books next summer, the Arizona Coyotes get a 9th overall draft pick, a 2nd-round pick, and a 7th-round pick. So now you do the math. Now that's 10 draft picks for taking. Now we're taking a look at 5 bad contracts. They get 12 draft picks. They get a dozen draft picks for taking 6 bad contracts. And most of those contracts will be over within the next 2 years. Shane Gostisbehere still has 3 years left on that deal, but everybody else, Andrew Ladd, Roussell, Beagle, and Eriksson, in 2 years from now, will be off the books. So that's $17.5 million that will be off of the cap hit next summer. That's very powerful for the Coyotes because they have the cap space right now, and they'll have the cap space in 2 years from now to maybe go out and make some big moves in 2 years from now, maybe taking advantage of teams like the Vancouver Canucks, who are like, man, we signed, we have Oliver Ekman-Larsson, we can't move his contract. We've got Connor Garland in here. We got Brock Besser. We have this guy. We have that guy. Oh, we have to re-sign Niels Höglander. Oh, we have to re-sign Vasily Podkolzin. Oh, we have to re-sign blah, blah, blah. And now you catch a team that's desperate. And that's what they're doing now. And they could do that again in a couple years to acquire actual players. So not only are they getting the draft picks now, but they could come take another swing at it in 2 years from now via offer sheets, free agency, when teams don't have the money that the Coyotes have had this entire time. And they get the draft picks. So I think there's something to be said about cap space. The Seattle Kraken, a lot's being said about them. They're getting criticized up the you-know-what, up the yin-yang for having all this cap space and not using it. But what if they sign Dougie Hamilton this summer? What if they re-sign some of these guys that are going to be available to them in free agency. And you're already seeing some casualties of the salary cap. Look at Carolina. Carolina is a perfect example. They have a lot of money tied up in guys like Brady Shea, a lot of money tied up in guys like Brett Pesce, in different guys on that roster, and now we're starting to see that maybe signing those guys, now you have to move on from Alex Nedeljkovic, you have to move on from Jake Bean. You're trading guys that are good players. Now, the good thing about this, at the end of the day, is we're going to see more parity in the NHL. Because you're seeing teams like the Islanders who are in a cup window right now. And as the salary cap moves forward, the Islanders were projecting to have more cap space, right? And you would have seen the Islanders keep all of their guys. They may still have Devon Toews. They may still have some guys that they wouldn't have lost because of salary. And maybe the Islanders would have been more okay with keeping Andrew Ladd if the salary cap continued to move up. You look at a team, another example, the New York Rangers. They looked like a team, they have all this cap space. They just traded Pavel Buchnevich's rights because they don't think they could sign their guys next year. And all they were able to get was Sammy Blais and a second-round pick because they know cap space is going to be an issue. So we're seeing that theme continue. We're going to see the NHL change a little bit. And I think because the Coyotes lost a lot of draft picks last year, we're seeing them look a little bit different. And I think it's for the better for the entire league. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Arizona Coyotes picking up all these draft picks and munching on this salary cap, taking from other teams? Is this the future of the NHL? Are they innovating in a way that's going to make them maybe more superior in 2 or 3 years from now from maybe, say, a Jim Benning, run team where they're taking on older contracts that may not age well? We're going to see that maybe come to the forefront in the next couple of years. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.